Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Apollo Intensa Emozione in multiplayer at rank 1684 for the third time, but this is the first time after the swarm of X2s came around. So as I said, my rank is 1684, my tuning is 4504, and in Pro Kits 5055. Interestingly, if you tune the Rizvani, which will come out later in this update, to that exact tune, you get a rank of 1679, or at least that's what the Asphalt tuner shows. It may be off by 1 or 2 points. The races shown in this video are the first 8 races that I played in the new season, Bloom season I believe it is called. After a week-long off-season, it finally began, and thankfully the bugs that accompanied the beginning of the season, rooms not starting and stuff like that, have now been fixed, so you can multiplayer without fear. So here this other Apollo tries to knock me down, but instead, I somehow managed to knock him down, even though he bumped me from behind. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but it's pretty nice when stuff like that works in your favor. By the way, I am happy to announce that I have been accepted into Gameloft's Asphalt YouTuber program. My first video on the Asphalt channel is up now. It is a preview edit montage kind of thing for the Subaru GT1. So if you're here from that video, welcome to my channel, and if you're here from my channel, be sure to check that video out. So we have come in first in this race, ahead of a 1708 Apollo IE, which I believe is my tune with max nitro, as well as a 1659 McLaren X2, which as we will see throughout this video, is definitely not the multiplayer tune king, as the Apollo is better than the X2 at any rank below 1800, and above 1800, the Apollo is not all that much worse. So my Apollo at this rank of 1684 goes approximately 312 miles per hour. I recently made a video about my McLaren X2 at a rank of 1679, my favorite rank for multiplayer tunes. It goes approximately 306 miles per hour, so about the same as an Air Hesera GT or Sin R1 around this rank. However, it has, I want to say, approximately the same acceleration as the Apollo at this rank. I had thought it was better at first, but it doesn't actually seem to be. When both cars are completely max pro'd, or just pro'd in the X2's case, the acceleration of the X2 is definitely quite a bit better, but at this rank they are about the same. One bad thing about the X2 is it tends to be quite glitchy and skiddy and have those kinds of problems. The Apollo has a few of those problems, but they don't happen nearly as often, so I would say if you have the Apollo, definitely keep using that in multiplayer around this rank, even if you have the X2. As you can see here, me and this other 1698 Apollo beat that 1647 X2, who, yes, is definitely lower ranked, but remember what I said, even one approximately the same rank goes 6 miles per hour slower and accelerates about the same. Plus, the Apollo has better drifting than the X2, however, the X2 does have better steering capacity, handling, however you want to say it. Basically, it can go around a lot of turns without drifting when the Apollo might have to, meaning that it should do quite well on Venice if it doesn't skid. So I believe Gameloft added the X2 to Asphalt 8 to be kind of a competitor to the Apollo IE without actually killing it at multiplayer tunes. And it gave people who did not get the Apollo, because it was kind of a long and grueling R&D, a chance to get a car that is almost as good if you can learn to tame it, but is still not better than the car, the Apollo, that people worked so hard for. At least at multiplayer tunes, remember. But then again, also remember that most people are not going to be able to pro out the X2 because of the 64 custom racing engines that it requires. So in this race, I am facing a guy named F3M69, I believe his name is. I've raced him quite a few times before in multiplayer, and he is a very good driver. He has the 1695 tune for the Apollo, which is one of the best tunes, besides mine, in my opinion. It is 3505-5055. I think he also watches my channel, so F3M69, if you're watching this, it was good to race you. And we also beat a 1718 Apollo IE in this race. I'm not sure what that tune is. Alright, our fourth race is on Barcelona against another Apollo, an X2, as well as a Sin R1. As you can see, I actually started up faster than that X2 because even though he was ahead at the beginning, I shot past him. Now, this Apollo on my tail right now is my tune, but with one extra on acceleration, I believe, 1701 rank. Here, even though I technically squash him to the side, I wreck. I guess that was because I was going slower than he was, and so he got a knockdown on me, but what's really weird is it didn't say knockdown. It just said wreck. So yeah, still a little confused about that one. And this was just a one-lap race, and I'm currently in last place. So I was thinking, alright, I'm about 6 miles per hour faster than the Sin R1 and the X2. If I take turns well and stuff like that, hopefully I will be able to catch up and pass them. And that's what I did. Even though I had a little bit of a flub back there on the ramp, I salvaged it, went underneath, got this yellow nitro, and thus proceeded to pull ahead into second position. First place guy slowed down near the finish line and finished just ahead of me, and then I jumped over him. Did you guys see that? Go back here and replay it if you didn't. That is really crazy and hardly ever happens. So he was a 1701 Apollo. We beat a 1627 Sin and a 1632 X2. By the way, you may notice matchmaking getting better and better throughout these races, because in the first race I had no points risked, but as I went on I went to 25%, then 50%, then 75%, and finally 100% risk in the last few races. And as most of you know, risking points gives you better matchmaking, as in the cars you face are lower ranked than you pretty much all of the time when you're at 100% risk. So it definitely pays to build risk. So this Diamond Eater W guy right behind me is at a rank of 1689. I'm not sure about the tune. He was nosing behind me for a bit. He was a bit faster. Something happened to him though. I'm not exactly sure what, but he fell behind. And thankfully this is only a one-lap race, so there is not really any chance that he will be able to catch up. Unless, of course, I make a mistake around these turns, which thankfully I did not, and thus I managed to come in first. So as you can see, even though I had a couple races where I made a mistake or something happened that caused me to not come in first, most of the time I was able to get pretty consistently first position. That is the reason I like this tune so much. In this sixth race, we are facing another Apollo as well as two Sin R1s. Thankfully in this one, I start in the front, which is a good thing for me because I have a more acceleration-based tune on my car, and thus it is good to start in the front. It's not that big of a problem if you start in the back, but you do have to get around people, and sometimes they may be slow in front of you. So yeah, when I'm in a car like this, or when anybody is in any car that's acceleration based, it's good to start in the front. Of course, there is no way to make yourself start in the front or whatever. I'm just pointing out that it's good for you when that happens. So right here, the Apollo does a skid to the side, which seems to happen a good bit of the time right there on Nevada, and that is why I go right next to the wall there. If you play in a car for long enough, especially something like the Apollo or the X2, you will learn that they tend to skid at specific places on tracks. Sure, there may be some random skids, but there are a few places on certain tracks where they just skid almost all of the time, and so you can learn those and be aware of them and be ready for them. So we have come in first in this race, ahead of the two Sin R1s as well as the 1682 Apollo. There are actually a couple tunes that can get to that 1682 rank, so I'm not sure which one that was. Now for a race on Azure Coast against two other Apollos. Well, technically there were three others in the race, but one of them was unboosted, and so he wasn't really much competition. The two that were boosted, however, were a 1616 ranked one, so a bit lower, and a 1695 one. The 1695 guy is the one who is ahead of me right now. The reason that tune is probably the second or third best tune for the Apollo below 1700 is because it has a faster speed than my tune by about 1 or 2 miles per hour. However, it accelerates ever so slightly slower. So if you get ahead of them in the beginning, if you can take the turns well and stuff, there's a pretty good chance that they will not be able to catch up. However, since they are not all that much faster, and you take the turns better than them if you're behind them, you can get ahead of them. That's the thing about this rank. 1 or 2 miles per hour difference really does not make a whole lot of difference, which is one reason why I would still recommend the 1684 tune over the 1695 one. You can still pull out wins against them a whole lot of the time, and you're 11 ranks lower, which means better matchmaking, and you accelerate slightly faster too. But I would still say that that 1695 tune is one of the top 3 tunes for the Apollo below 1700, the other one being a tune of 5505, 5050, which goes ever so slightly slower than this car at a rank of 1687. So these two Apollos we beat were triple boosted, as well as I am. Now for our final race of the video, and the 8th race I played in the season, which is on San Diego Harbor. It has one of the most epic knockdowns in it that I have ever dealt. So in this race, we are facing that same upsetting tech-named guy in his 1695 Apollo that we were facing last race. He was probably a bit upset about me beating him last time because he did wreck around the S-curve, so he was probably trying quite hard to catch up to me, and he was doing a very good job too. Even though this was only a one-lap race, his circle was practically inside of mine, and so I was pretty worried about how this was going to turn out. However, I landed on him. I went high on the barrel roll, and he went low, and since he was faster, he got under me, but since I went higher, I was able to land on top of him and deal the finishing blow. So guys, in summary of this video, the Apollo is still the multiplayer tuned king of Asphalt 8, and I believe that my tune is one of the best for it. So thank you all for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to see more Asphalt 8 content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!